Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Final Fantasy VII playthrough. Today, we are setting off on our grand adventure to uh, climb a bunch of rubble and actually reach Shinra Tower at last.
But first, let's talk to some people in the town.
Yeah, that's going to last a while. You're right about Barrett having expressive eyes, by the way, because there's a lot of that in this part.
He has very kind of just like big eyes compared to everyone else in a weird kind of way. It works really good for his character because that it works well on his, the fact that whenever he's in battle mode, he always puts the shades on.
Yeah, is that the reason why they gave him shades in the first place compared to his original models? Because his eyes were so expressive that I think the fear was folks would find him too. Oh, he's adorable. Look at that little eco-terrorist leader.
Well, I mean, people will also often do that just to hide their own emotions behind the sunglasses.
Yeah,
And it's clear.
I'm talking more about like the creative decision, like behind the scenes.
Fair. I just think it works really well narratively because the first time he takes the glasses off on the subway earlier in the game, is you can just tell he's not, pleased about doing this himself either. And he kind of has to put that face on in order to, psych himself to do it at all.
Right.
Did anyone tell Cloud about the ancients and shit and Hojo and all that, or is those memories he's not technically supposed to have yet?
It's a bit of both. The ancients are kind of described as kind of like how we know like ancient Rome or something. It's something people know, but they don't know much about.
Yeah, but did Aerith ever tell him that she's the last?
No,
of the
he only has very scattered memories of what Sephiroth told him.
Okay.
In the Nibelheim incident.
Okay, so this sequence plays out differently depending on which character you have the highest affection rating with. In my case, it's Tifa.
Yes.
If Aerith is the one...
As it should
Yeah,
be.
if Aerith is the one... I follow some people on Twitter who would be very happy to hear you say that, John. But, okay, so if Aerith is the one you wind up at max affection with, you sort of have a dream with her talking to you in it. But regardless, it's always a conversation out in the flower field. And in this case...
This is a reference to the date sequence, right?
Not necessarily a reference,
There
but...
wasn't really a date sequence in Midgar though, right? Just in
Not the date sequence, more like the end of Disc 2 sequence.
Fair.
At the end of the original, in the original game, because depending on your... So there was a scene, just for context, towards the end of Disc 2 where Cloud and Tifa decide to sleep under the stars, under the high wind, basically, because they're getting ready to raid the Northern Crater. Basically, go see your loved ones before we do the final thing. We may not be coming back from this.
Oh, look, Cloud and Tifa don't have any loved ones besides each other.
Yeah, exactly. But depending on your affection values for them, it's implied that they get busy.
Oh yeah, they
like,
definitely
at the end of that conversation.
Do the naughty chocobo, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And then in Team 4 Stars Mission and Bridge, it cuts to above them in the high wind where it's sitting, and everyone else is just watching them.
Well, it is kind of implied. I think it's like I already said that they saw everything, and Tifa gets embarrassed by that. But so I like to think that this is pretty much paying homage to that scene, and as Lewis said, this scene is affected by relationship values. And I'm always going to be the one that feels that the only person, Tifa is the one for Cloud.
Yeah.
Because to me, I was never down with Aerith and Cloud because I thought Aerith was just trying to fill the gap that Zack
Yeah, I was
left.
going to say, Aerith is looking for Zack, not Cloud.
I mean,
Yeah.
to play devil's advocate here, because I also
That's also just in your professional business card.
probably, yeah. Satan's not paying me enough for this shit. Because honestly, I think Tifa and Cloud have probably the strongest relationship in the game, like in the original game, I should say. Like it's the most well-developed relationship between any two characters. But I think that there is some merit in a relationship where, one person is, trying to effectively fill the gap with someone that they used to love with a new person. Especially in the case for Cloud, since Cloud is kind of Zack. Oh, they're hugging, this lewd shit. Oh, man. Get this off the screen. This is a family channel.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm invalidating Aerith's feelings.
Oh, no.
either.
But I mean, like,
but
ultimately, I don't think
there's
it's
history.
healthy, but it's like, it's interesting storytelling. That can
Pause
go
for
into
a
that.
moment. This dork cannot hug properly.
Yeah, Cloud is
No.
like, how do feelings touch woman?
You can hear like an audible snap of the bones. His hug
No,
bones.
I think his like stupid armlet thing with its jutting pieces of metal was just like
Digging into her back.
Getting in the way.
In any case, on the subject of Aerith, though, if you go on the date sequence at the Gold Saucer with Aerith in the original game, she actually does sort of talk about how she was drawn to Cloud because of Zack originally, but came to realize he was somebody different and wanted to get to know that person. So if she had lived
Yeah.
about like more than 15 minutes after that point, maybe something would have come of that. Unfortunately, she didn't.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that, but it never happens, and there is a lot of history between Cloud and Tifa. To me, it just makes them more. It makes
With
more
that
sense.
said, though, there is a lot of romantic connotations with the Aerith's death scene. The holding her in her arms, the leaving her in the water, the sad music, all that stuff. Like, there, people can read a lot of romance into that, and you know, like I think that that's also kind of valid too. I don't know.
Sorry, that's the Zack and me talking.
Anyway, it's interesting that the members of Avalanche actually seek Elmira's approval to go rescue Aerith, because that never happened in the original game. They just
Left.
No, she's kind of just
Hi,
like
Elmira, ought to save your daughter.
Elmira's like, you're going to save her, aren't you? And then she just accepts it, and there's no like conflict there. Like I said before, Elmira in the original game was just an exposition dump. This scene is great, by the way. This is actually a conversation that Barrett originally had in the original game. He had this conversation with Elmira. Elmira asks him how he can leave a little girl behind, and he justifies himself to her. But we're seeing him have that conversation with Marlene directly here, and I think that's more effective, especially since he's trying to explain this in a way a small child would understand.
I'm surprised all the Whispers just didn't come here and like slowly nudge him towards Elmira. I was like, what are you trying to say? I don't know. I don't understand.
And of course, Marlene's a little bundle of acceptance.
You know, we're talking about Cloud not being able to hug, but I think Barrett hugs are probably extremely uncomfortable.
What are you
Because that arm
talking
cannon
about?
probably cracks ribs.
Oh, it's funny because like not for reasons you may think, because there is a line in the original game where every time like I think Barrett tries to hug Marlene, she always comments on his beard.
It's so
Like,
itchy.
your face itches. Yeah, your face itches.
So anyway, like, you know, this is the one big dad moment Barrett gets through in the game, and it's adorable. We even get to see him carrying Marlene on his shoulder, which seems to be like their bonding thing.
You'll be the Diddy to my donkey.
What?
What?
Donkey Kong, you know, the whole Diddy Kong's falling behind him thing. And he's the big gorilla.
No. I was more talking from Marlene's perspective.
Okay.
What were your father's last words?
Okay, so he puts his shades back on. It's go time.
So, Elmira was not Elmira. God, Marlene. Marlene was adopted by Barrett, right? Like, do
Yes.
Yes.
they? What was the story behind that, or is there not? She just.
Has to
There
do
is.
with the hometown.
Dine
situation.
was her father, and I think you hear her mother's name at one point, but I can't recall it off the top of my head because she never appears. But basically, after Dine fell to his not death, Barrett went back to the town and found Marlene and adopted her, and you know, decided to take her in as his own, in memory of his friend. And then, of course, his friend comes back as a psychotic murder machine, which is awkward.
As we all do.
Awkward, you know. Anyway, I just picked up the pedometer materia, which is just laying on the floor across your path after you leave Aerith's house.
I'm going to hatch so many Pokemon eggs with this thing.
Yeah, my Pokewalker. I haven't seen this since 2011.
Yeah, in any case, you have to walk 5,000 steps with the pedometer, and then it turns into a different materia, a materia that doubles the the ability point growth of any materia that it is directly linked to in a linked slot. This is
very helpful for getting the last few you need. I think it's a rise.
Yes.
I think it's the only time where like double materia growth is referenced at all in the remake, because normally that would be associated with weapons.
Yes, in the original game there were weapons that had fewer slots but had double or triple materia growth for anything set into that slot. But
I remember those are the ones I always picked because you move through the materia faster.
Like the downside was that it wasn't just a matter of like lower materia slots. They also the
trade-off was that you were using materia less effectively while you worked with it, and you were using less materia in general. So in this case, it has to be a linked slot. So there is a different kind of trade-off, but there are fewer materia in Remake Episode 1, so it makes sense to just have one materia that doubles the growth of one thing. In your first fresh game, you're probably going to want to use it to level up your resurrection materia, your life spell, to get that full life before the end of the game. It will be super helpful during the final boss, trust me. But there is also an intel objective from Chadley that requires you to fully master every magic materia in the game, which amounts to, I think, 12. Now, by now, you've probably mastered quite a few of them, but you do need the revival materia mastered, and there are a few that you don't have yet at this point in the game, I do believe. So the AP doubling materia will be useful for that as well.
Was that Marie from Persona 4?
No. It was On from Persona 4.
We saw her earlier.
We saw her earlier in a train. I think we went into it
a small side quest
previously, but she was originally from audio drama or something. Oh,
you mean she dresses like Marie? Oh, okay.
That's like the same exact outfit, almost.
Kind of, yeah.
I think I said it beforehand, but when she first appeared, I thought she was like secretly Yuffie in disguise.
But she's voiced by An from Persona 5, so yeah, the gang's all here by now, I think. We've had Shido, we've had Futaba, now we have An. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these voice actors is Ren, but I couldn't recognize him if he spoke because I haven't watched the anime dub yet.
Apparently, the anime is not very good.
The anime is not very good, but the dub is excellent. The characters the voice actors for this game, I guess, are really proud of their characters for this game because they put a lot of life into it.
As they did in Scramble.
I mean, if I were one of the voice actors who played a major character in Persona 5, I'd be damn proud of it too. In any case, this is the final side quest opportunity, and for this section, the side quests are probably at their best that they've been for the entire game. The first one, the one that you're going to want to knock out as early as possible, is this one. Find the 3 missing chocobos. Find all 3 and send them back, and you will unlock all of the fast travel points, and fast travel will no longer cost you money because Sam gives you a free pass to his fast travel network. This allows you to travel through all of the areas you have access to with basically no pain, which is good because this side quest area spans the entirety of Sector 5 and Wall Market and everything in between. And the church.
It makes me wonder, though, what the future episodes will do concerning airship travel, if there's going to be any at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably going to be like Final Fantasy X, to be honest.
Like it's warp points,
because
basically.
it would be wonderful to be able to fully control the airship again. But, well,
the Regalia could fly in 15. I don't remember how. Well, I remember that being pretty unreliable.
The Regalia could fly in a Final Fantasy 15 update that came along much later. But it wasn't really built for it. There were invisible walls in places. It's awkward, but at least you did get to fly. But it made sense to have a fully controllable airship in a world map that was not built to scale, but in a fully, like, real-size world, like, a flying vehicle designed to take you from one end of an area to another end of an area, that makes sense. It's like a mount in an MMO that just happens to be able to fly. But if you're going to be using the airship to get all the way across the globe, not only, like, are you going to have to deal with much longer transit time if you're flying there manually, but the world itself has to be built as a cohesive world from end to end in every direction, and there's going to be the inevitable point where you reach a wall, like,
or they just
It would have
wraps,
to be a very
you know.
different game, I think, because this game, for the most part, is pretty linear.
well, I mean, the world map in 7 can wrap, but the world map in 7 doesn't have to be built to scale, so you can suspend your disbelief.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, like, a built-to-scale world would have to be the size of an actual planet, and that's just not doable.
What I imagine what they could do is they could make it an overworld that kind of looks like how it did in the older games where it is to scale.
Yeah.
And they just kind of break it up into regions, like the region between two towns, and it just kind of pops you in this one set place in the field.
Maybe.
a lot of
rather
RPGs
than-
do that. Dragon Quest XI does
I'm
a
thinking of-
system similar to that.
I'm thinking of Shroud of the Avatar now, where they actually did do a world map, kind of world map. But it was...
Ooh, that's the best kind of world map.
I mean, I'm just wondering how they would structure stuff if they do have a full world map, because this game, it's not like uber linear in that there's only one thing you can do at any given time, but it is fairly linear. There usually is only one place that you can go to progress the story.
Yeah, in this episode, a lot of the design is built around corridors that twist around into and out of each other in some places, but you're more likely to find an area that is built in a really squiggly circle rather than an area that is open. But since future episodes are on the PlayStation 5, I doubt that's going to be an issue, so we are probably looking at, like, more genuinely open environments. Wow, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Oh, this sucks. You suck.
I like all the kids practicing with wooden buster swords.
Yeah.
Which you can get now at Etsy for like double the
Why
price.
does Cloud feel the need to pick fights with 5-year-olds?
He doesn't. They're
Because he was bullied as
They're
a kid.
picking fights with him now. Anyway,
Yeah,
at this point,
retribution.
a harder version of the Whack-A-Box minigame becomes available. I am not going to actually complete this, because it is actually quite challenging to get the level 3 treasure here. And if you don't manage to get level 3, they're like, man, you're lame. If you're not in first place, you're as good as in last place. These kids are hardcore, man. But, like...
Second is just the first loser.
That's a terrible attitude.
Some soldier. Why'd you say that?
I forget what the transference module is, but yeah,
It's a piece of equipment, I think.
I think so too. But in any case, since I have no intention of using anything other than what I've already got equipped and possibly the champion belts for Tifa, if I'm patient enough to fucking do the pull-ups again, well, it's gonna, like, I'm not gonna bother. There's no actual side quest tied to the second round of Whack-A-Box, just as there's no side quest tied to doing the pull-ups at their highest difficulty.
Yeah, just the minigame
Well, there
to
is a
fill the
side
time.
quest to do the first round of pull-ups, but that's the easy one, so you don't really have to worry about it. You do want to do all of the side quests in this area, though, because if you do, you get a second elemental materia that's dropped on the ground with a note from the Angel of the Slums as a thank you for helping out everyone.
Is it just this area, or is it all side quests in the game? Because I'm not sure which
It
is.
might be all side quests, but I think it's just this area.
Gotcha.
Given the character's tied to the sector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just never checked if it's just this area in this point in the game, or if it's all.
Although
side quests.
you might have to do the previous Angel of the Slums side quest to unlock the one in this section, because they're both connected. I'm not sure.
Probably.
I've never played the game and not done the side quests, so I'm not actually sure.
There should have been a Crash Bandicoot costume for this.
That would have been fun.
Or at least a reference of some kind.
But in any event, no, damn it.
You missed.
Yeah, I was surprised because I always did the first night of the minigame I did triple slash all over the place, but then once I got Infinity's End, that was pretty much what I used for the big 1500 boxes.
Oh right, yeah. I was like, wait, you can use Infinity's End, but then I'm like, oh yeah, it lets you use like just Braver and whatever weapon abilities on the sword you're using.
What are these boxes made out of that they can survive multiple hits from this sword that can cleave through robots?
Adamantium.
And they're wasting it on this shit.
Yes.
They kind of just pop into smoke, though.
They're made of Kingdom Hearts, Ted. Don't question it.
Oh, bullshit. I see.
Well, I was referring to whatever the hell those bopper sticks from the struggle were made of, but...
Are they actually called bopper sticks?
I don't know. You gotta understand, Ted. I like every time I think about playing Kingdom Hearts 2, I remember how amazing it is, but then I remember I have to go through the Roxas section, which takes like 3 hours. And if I'm going to play a game that takes 3 hours to get started, I'd rather play Persona. So I always just
see. This is why you're better off either just skip cutscenes, in which case it only takes an hour, or you just make a save file. For
Good old Twilight Princess 4 simple.
Yeah.
Or Majora's Mask intro shit.
Yeah, that too.
They could be like Metal Gear Solid 2 and just let you skip the tanker chapter, but...
I like the Tinker chapter.
Well, yeah, I know.
Isn't that the only part you play as
Snake, yeah.
Snake?
Well,
Yeah.
the only part in the original game that you play as Snake. In the subsistence... No, substance. Subsistence is
Whatever
3.
it is.
In the
The
in
other
the
one.
Substance re-release, there are VR missions and little side story missions that you can play as Snake with too. By side story missions, I mean they have text. They have text story that plays out, and then a little stealth mission that you play. And there's
Is that the one with Tony Hawk in it?
the PS2 release did have a skating game. Yes.
You can play a Snake there.
And only the PS2 version. I think it might have something to do with the licensing issue.
Well, it was also
as to why it
like
wasn't
an
carried
engine
over?
for an actual Konami skating game is also the thing, which is really fun.
Right.
They also have the... Oh, no, I'm thinking of 3. 3 had that Ape Escape game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid. Oh no, I think Metal Gear Solid was the Metal Gear Solid was the
Ape Escape.
was the Ape Escape Metal Gear stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
But it was in Ape Escape 3, I think.
Yeah, I think it was that. But what the fuck was it called in Snake?
I
Eater?
wish...
Why am I drawing a blank
Monkey
on
Gear
this?
Solid.
I wish
like that.
they would release Ape Escape 3 on the PSN, because
What they need to do is they need to give it the Crash and Spyro treatment and just remake the first 3.
Well, they already went by because here's the thing: Ape Escape actually looks somewhat interesting to me. Like, it just looks like solid 3D platforming with a unique control scheme, which seems cool. Like, very few of the Sony platformers interest me, so when I actually looked at it, I was like, oh, this seems neat. But yeah, Ape Escape 3 does look pretty neat, but I kind of doubt they're going to do anything with it because the anniversary came and went and they didn't really acknowledge it at all.
I think the studio.
And yeah,
behind
and
Ape
that,
Escape
I was just
shut
going
down.
to say the Sony canned its like internal development studio, which means that stuff like Ape Escape and Parappa the Rappa I don't think are going to happen anytime.
To be
soon.
fair, you can give remakes to a different studio because they're just remakes. You don't have to get...
Well, that does. They would have to do that at
yeah,
this point.
so...
Yeah.
I'm not saying that means it's effectively dead. I'm just saying it's...
I would say
less
it makes
likely.
it less likely that it will happen. So,
well, yeah, I just really want Ape Escape 3 because it's like the best one overall. Oh,
Don't you want Ape Escape 2 where everyone's voiced... where our main characters are voiced by Ash and Misty?
well,
unless if you're in Europe for some reason.
I'm pretty sure we got the European dub, but Ape Escape 2 is on PSN already. So yeah.
No, I'm talking about the English version of 2 where it's just Ash and Misty very brazenly for the main characters.
Well, yeah, but like we got the European dub, so unfortunately that's not the version we got.
Lame.
Like Ape Escape 2 is fine. I like it. It's a good sequel. But Ape Escape 3 is basically Ape Escape 2, but with 2 playable characters instead of just 1, and much more interesting environments because it's movie themed rather than just generic environment themed the way 2 was. Like Ape Escape 1 had time travel, and Ape Escape 2 has this kooky movie theme where every level is based on different stuff.
No, 3 is the movie theme.
Did I say 2? I meant
Yeah.
3. And 2 is just like...
No, but it's fine. You said 3 was movie theme beforehand. Then you kind of mixed up again.
And 2 is just like... here's some
World.
places...
Yeah.
And
The world tour kind of theme is fairly popular for a lot of stuff like that. That's basically what.
well,
like, Sonic Unleashed did.
unfortunately, Ape Escape 2 does not have like the graphical budget to really pull off a world tour theme effectively. It needs like outlandish environments to compensate for the fact that there's not a whole lot of detail. Because it's a PS2 game, and it's
what year did it come out? Was it an early PS2 game?
It's fairly early, I think. Yeah.
It looked pretty good for the time, from what I remember.
Oh, it's
it looks fine. It's clear that it's aged.
yeah. It looks smooth. It's just uninteresting compared to the 2 games that bookend the series, visually anyway. Like as a game, it's fine. It's plenty enjoyable, but and some of the areas do look nice. I'm remembering this like water-based Greek level that sticks out in my memory as being kind of pretty. But
Okay, so I have a question coming as someone who's never played the games. Is the camera good? Because I know that the right stick is used to like wiggle the net around and stuff.
It's functional. I
It's
wouldn't
functional?
say good, but it's
Okay.
functional.
Is it like L and R button camera?
Yeah.
The thing about Ape Escape is that it was essentially designed as a fancy, like really glorified tech demo for the dual analog controller, which was new at the time.
Yeah.
So like basically all of your main gameplay functions are on both analog sticks. So
The thing is, I could see them really taking advantage of that with the PS5's DualSense controller because that has lots of minor nifty features they can make gadgets for.
the thing is, since the first Ape Escape came out on the PS1, and not everyone had a dual analog
wow,
controller.
magic appearing fence.
Yeah.
Oh wait, the trash is becoming in too.
Yes, more texture pop in. But in any case, what I was saying was, since Ape Escape 1 was designed for the dual analog stick, if you did not have a dual analog controller, which you might not have, you couldn't play the game. I mean, you could start the game, you could select new game, you could see the first level pop up in front of you, and then you would be just stuck.
Fun.
You could press the face buttons and switch between the tools that you had.
But you couldn't use them.
You couldn't move, and you couldn't do anything. So it's kind of like piracy creepypasta, only it happens for legal
Easy
copies.
prize just by virtue of not having the fucking controller.
So the dual analog controller is different from the Dual Shock, right?
No, the
DualShock is the vibration.
The DualShock is the vibration. You could have dual analog controllers without the DualShock. In fact,
by the time they got to the PS2, they just put it all in one and just called it the DualShock 2. And just went,
No, they did it before.
Well, no,
They did it
that's
before
what
that.
I'm saying. They call it in the PS1, but you could technically have different ones.
the PS3 had
yeah.
controllers early on that didn't have the vibration stuff in it. I'm not really sure.
I have one of those.
I'm not really sure why they had to delay
It's
that.
because they wanted the battery to last long enough so you could actually use the motion control that no one used.
Oh,
But it
Six
kind of
axis,
resulted in the thing feeling really flimsy because it was so much lighter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And as a
was.
result, that means since no one never used the motion controls, they said screw it, put the rumble back in.